Crimson Clad.
Hello, friends! Let's make sure that everybody can hear me. Let's make sure everything looks okay. You guys are just finishing up, of course, with the fabulous Uncle Bonehead, Polar Maestro, and of course, Nahupuku. Hi, guys. It was a great show. It was so good. And now I'm kind of like, oh shit, how am I supposed to follow up with that? Oh, I look great, thank you. Do I? Because I feel like a disaster. Thanks. In fact, I didn't fix the face region today, so you guys get what you get. My name is Crimson Clad, and this is Fullforce Radio, and on Thursday nights, Friday mornings, whatever time it is for you, here, right now, I play heavy metal, and we talk shit. Twitch check is good, everything's looking good, dog check is good, there's a Lulu here, there's a Murphy down there, you can't tell. The pizza is here. And I thought we'd have some fun tonight, and we would try a little game of Fullforce Roulette, and maybe some nerdy video game Skyrim stuff. I don't know, because the next couple of shows are going to be really put together. They're going to be really put together. They are going to be full realized, encapsulated, created playlists. So I thought tonight, let's just have a shit show. Especially because these days, it's getting harder and harder to lure people out to the show. So my goal tonight is to try and get some more people back, bring the love, and have a good night. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. But some things are not as they should be, and that's A-okay, no big deal. All right, so we'll see how everybody's feeling in chat. We've got some changes tonight. Hey, good to see you. Mariano's here. I see people are hanging out all over the place, and more people are jumping into the Discord. So that's absolutely fabulous. Go team. So, yeah, and it's quite funny because, of course, Puku was talking about donating hair, and I'm like, man, that's the thing we do. And we should actually talk about that because, believe it or not, hair donations go far beyond Hive, and they actually go back to the days of the legacy blockchain who cannot be named. It's a real thing. No joke. In fact, it was one of the very first things that I ever did on Steam. Oh, look, there's a Murphy kicking around in the back. So he's choosing a spot. Got one dog there. We got another dog here. It's good. We got the show dogs up in this place. I'm the best in show, the doggiest of dogs, the big old bitch up in this house. And yeah, it's quite funny because, we created way back when we created a... We created a metal community, and there's just, 𝖊𝖘 used to be around a lot, and we created the Circle of Death records where we would pump some of our blockchain earnings into helping support blockchain musicians that were making metal. Man, we got to get our shit together. Why are we all doing work in separate places? But that's neither here nor there. I wanted to kind of entertain you guys. Yeah, so he's sharing some of his hair donation. I've done it 3 times now. I will do it again, but it's got to grow a little bit longer. I'll take it down later, but it's not... Ron is teasing me for only giving a foot, but the reality is I don't know. Can you guys imagine making a wig with less than a foot? It's some kid with some... the kid's already gonna, it's gonna be a fucking nightmare. A child with red hair, that didn't actually have red hair, but then got cancer, and on top of insult to injury, then gets a red-headed wig. That's brutal. That sucks. That's really unfortunate for that child. So, at the very least, I could maybe give a little bit more so the kid doesn't have some kind of terrible red-headed mullet that's short in the back, and then they're just kind of filling out the rest of it with other donated colors. I don't know, some multicolored mullet. God, terrible. Okay, so Fullforce Roulette, I haven't done it in a while, and I thought, especially after last week, people have been asking me, where is last week's show? Why can't I rewatch it on YouTube? I'm sad. It was great. The playlist was awesome. Where's the Vim post? The reality is YouTube came for me again, and... and it got taken down. So I'm in the process. I actually properly wrote a post for it, but I'm in the process of decrimming the YouTube video a little bit so you guys can still go back and listen to it when you want to. But with that being said, We can do music tonight. Yeah, I know. Shake your fist at YouTube. The reality is unfortunately, Ozbit's here. What a party. This is fucking cool. Good to see you guys. So yeah, I mean, the problem becomes you guys want to watch all over the place. There are people on Twitch, there are people on YouTube, there are people on Theta, there are people on trve, there are people on Vim TV. There are people listening in the Discord, and then there are people who listen on the radio station. And as much as I think YouTube sucks, I can't cut it off because many of you guys prefer to watch there. And the reality is I'm not here to tell you what to do. And even if I was, you guys wouldn't fucking listen to me anyways, right? So let's just pretend for a second that, we could magically live in a world without YouTube. I hope so. I hope we'll get there. But for now, YouTube remains one of the places that you guys prefer to rewatch shows. So I have to do a little bit of work on that front. What can I say? Okay, so tonight will be Fullforce Roulette. And what that means is I'm literally going to go and grab the giant fuck off playlist of Fullforce radio songs. Now, this playlist has been growing for the past 5 years. It is every song I've ever played on Fullforce radio. So it has a little bit of everything from every show, 175 plus episodes. The playlist is something ridiculous. Let's take a look at the playlist stats here so I can show you guys what have you suffered through hanging out with me over the years. It is 2,196 songs. It is longer than an entire day, more than 24 hours of music. It's a beast. Does it have Trollfest? It sure does. Absolutely it does. It has probably not quite as much Trollfest as the Discord often has, but that's fine. It does actually have some Trollfest in there. And also some 𝖋𝖎𝖆𝖆𝖆𝖆. If you're not a troll person and you maybe are more like on the goblin side of things, I don't even know what that was. Something fell off my desk. Then I've got that too. Listen, I've got you covered, children. Hey, good to see you, Lamb. Everybody that's jumping in. So the plan is we're gonna play some really loud music. I'm gonna eat this pizza. I'm gonna make a hive post, and we're gonna talk about fun stuff tonight. And we are gonna put our fate in the hands of the gods. And in fact, I feel like I should get a headband. Do you guys remember? I don't remember what the name of the movie is, but isn't there a movie where Christopher Walken is just doing roulette? Somebody's thinking about me. Which one of you was that? If I get a second one, it's one of your fault. So excuse me. But okay, isn't there a movie where Christopher Walken is playing like Russian roulette? And that's literally, he's got the red headband and he's competing in Asia and he's playing roulette. What is that? Should I get a headband? Should we do that for tonight? And we'll see how many good songs we can get. It's very Karate Kid. It's almost the same, I'm pretty sure, except if Karate Kid had Christopher Walken and people literally fucking blowing their brains out. Yeah, I think it's Deer Hunter. It's not Platoon. Oh, Lord. If only Karate Kid were that hardcore. Somebody just spin kicks some 10-year-old child's head into like a giant exploding ball of goo. That'd be amazing. I'd watch that. Sure. Wax on, fucking guts off. I don't know, man. So with that being said, then we'll do that. And then we'll also talk about Skyrim. And I've got some like Skyrim metal. We'll see if we can cram it in some places. I have a couple of new tracks, of course, because last week, if you were here, last week it was all new music. And everybody that was here lost their minds because it was really, really good. You just can't see it. It happened and now it's gone. It's ephemeral. It means you have to be here every week live or else you could miss out on the good stuff. We also talked about pretzel panties. Why? I don't fucking know. Somehow we got talking about... a shot already. Somehow we got talking about that panties in a twist. If you get really twisty panties, they're pretzel panties. And from there, things got weird. Things got really weird. All right, so... we start with some bourbon and we go downhill. Now, we'll see how many of you stick around over the course of tonight because, of course, we have no idea what's going to come up. It is a complete crapshoot. And it ought to be fun. So we'll do that. And then I will show you some of my desk tchotchkes. They're super nerdy. They're kind of what has me on the Skyrim the Skyrim take now, because I've got all these things on my desk. I want to talk a little bit about bizarre 3D printed items, and we'll see how tonight goes. Tonight will be a little off the cuff, whereas, the last couple shows have been spectacularly planned out. Of course, some of the people who haven't showed up forever now comes tonight. So, you know what? You get what you get, and you get what you deserve. So, let's do what we can do. Simply Red, you know what? I'm not pulling from your master playlist, LP. I don't know if you missed it, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes up. So I thought I'd get us started with some music, and I'd pull some links, and then I would show you guys some of my cool 3D printed desktop wienery-doos here, because I got some great gifts for Christmas, and some of them are just arriving now because the entire world's a shit show. I don't know if you've noticed. LP is saying that his playlist will pollute mine. Well, here's the thing. If you come around to MSP Waves and you listen on Friday nights, you'll catch joculation. But one of the things that I often do when I listen to LP Faust's show is I grab all the songs about dicks. So for some of you, like I noticed I lost 9 right away, and a lot of people who, prefer talky shows, they just bounce. I used to talk a lot, and it turns out that people really only like me when I'm saying dirty things. And as much as that hurts me inside, I'm over it these days. I'm playing music and talking about nerdy shit. But so I have LP's Penis Performance playlist, and it really is just it's just a playlist that I have culled down from LP Faust's playlist, and I have actually taken just the good dick songs, not the bad dick songs, because he's got a lot of bad dick songs, just the good dick songs, and have culled them down into a moderate length penis for anybody who would like to partake. That's my that's my contribution to society. So I suspect that chat will not be not be in love with tonight. But we'll find out, and we'll talk about weird 3D printed things, because all of my weird 3D printed Christmas presents are showing up, and they're all Skyrim related. And somehow, some way, I feel like that will come into effect and have some impact on the playlist. But we'll start with some music. We'll see if we can rustle up some more people. We can have some people come and hanging out tonight. We'll talk about whether or not some of you have your panties in a pretzel, and some potential plans for future holiday shows and whatnot. We'll get it going. We'll see how she goes. But what I thought I would do is I would start before we hit go on the big old Russian roulette button and see what is dredged up from 175 episodes of history. Which could be so bad. I thought I would play a new Amorphous track, because we all love Amorphous. And they've released the second new single. They're going to be releasing a new album soon, and I'm stoked to share it with you guys. But until it's out, all I've got are new singles. So we'll do that. It's called On the Dark Waters. We'll start there. And then I assume the show will either descend into madness, or everybody will get sick of listening to me talking, and all the people who come to the shows before this will be like, oh, it's Crimson Clad, and leave. And it'll just be the diehard people here by ourselves, quietly ruminating in the darkness, spinning the cylinder of the Fullforce Radio playlist. All right, so let's do it. Let's get started. My name is Crimson Clad. You're listening to Fullforce Radio on MSP Waves. All right. Hang on. Let's try and pause this before we go too fast. There we go. So Murphy is just ducked out of the scene there, which is too bad. He's now taken center stage. All right. So there you go. Brand new Amorphous. I mean, let's face it. I'm a big Amorphous fan, and I know that's such a fangirly thing, and it happens every week, but I'm a big fan of metalhead bands who can pull in all sorts of weird instruments, and it gives Julia a chance to find the best gifts. So yeah, there's a very sort of Eastern Arabian Nights style kind of jam going on there until immediately somebody jumps in with the I highly recommend you can see them live do it. Between his clean singing and his growling, you will have some pretzel panties, that's for sure. So here's the deal. I was going to talk about 3D printing tonight because it's obviously a really cool thing, and we often talk about these kind of things on Cyberbuzz, which is my other show. You know, cool disruptive tech that, you know, is creating weird opportunities for everyone all around the world. And so I've been getting a bunch of 3D printed items that, frankly, nobody needs, but I wanted, and I've been so lucky to be gifted them for Christmas, but it made me start thinking, like, what is all the weird shit out there that's being 3D printed? Because we know it's a great way to subvert rules. 3D printed guns is a big one. We're all a fan of that. I'm surprised Cly isn't in here. But so I was looking up, hey, good to see John. I was looking up all the random stuff that people can 3D print because I thought, Jesus, this is getting easier and easier and more interesting because Thingiverse exists, entire giant website libraries of items that you can just print in the privacy of your own home exists. So I started digging into this because I don't know anything about 3D printing. I know there are some people on Hive who are big into it. DDR Freak is one of them. But the more that I started kind of looking at things that have been 3D printed, I realized it's not just about the item, it's about the medium used. And some of the stuff that has been 3D printed, friends, are fucking weird. So, I mean, I'm curious to know how many of you, if you had a chance, would get a 3D printer, would have a 3D, some not safe for work items. I mean, maybe. But no, not the safe for work items. It gets weirder than that. Although, listen, if that's the direction you guys are all going, you know, if you must have some sort of interesting and bizarrely personalized or like branded thingy that you want to jam up in your bits, I'm not going to judge you. But no, I've been looking into this, and the more that I've been kind of researching this, the more weird that I get. And the biggest one, obviously, is like stuff to do with the human body. We have started doing things like 3D printing bone. We've started 3D printing blood vessels. We 3D print giant, like, swaths of skin cells. And there is, in Toronto, they have now started experimenting with 3D printers that will literally print giant pieces of skin, and you can use it on a roller. And I will read you exactly how it's described. The 3D printer was rolled over a wound on a pig like a whiteout tape dispenser. Can you fucking imagine? Can you even imagine? Hey, we need Fullforce panties. You know what? We could talk about that today. I've been getting requests for merch again. Maybe we can crowdsource Roulette some items, because believe it or not, that company in Montreal that I have been using actually for this fabulous shirt that I'm wearing here, this company in Montreal, they do men's boxers, and I do believe they do thongs as well. So, I mean, if you guys actually need some Fullforce panties, see, here's the thing about writing Fullforce on your panties. If you are open to receiving Fullforce in the genital area, that's a good thing. But what if you're not? I don't want you guys to be false advertising. So I just want you to think responsibly about your panties, okay? Just be aware of what's going to happen if you get some of this labeling and you cram it. I'm not saying that putting my face on your junk is a good or a bad idea, but We could talk about that over the course of tonight if you really, really want to. I mean, can you imagine? What would you even do if you literally got some really attractive person home and pulled down their pants and my face was directly over there? Hey, Carson, of course. I love when Carson shows up because 50% of the time it's when I'm talking about something really cool and really interesting and we're going down the technological route. And 50% of the time it's me screaming about 3D printing my face and putting it on the end of your dick, is basically what we're talking about now. Forget a bobblehead. You just like a little hat, but it's my face and you just, yikes. Okay, so for anybody who's just joining us, we're talking about 3D printing. And where I was going with this, it's not 3D printing Band-Aids, guys. It's not Band-Aids, it's actual fucking skin. Now, I don't know how they get the skin in the 3D printer or how, have you guys ever seen how a 3D printer works? It has a little bit of media, and that's often like a long piece of filament. And it heats up that filament and kind of poops it out in layers, like a dot matrix printer in 3D. Now stop and think about that for a second. This is the stuff of nightmares. This is as metal as it comes. Imagine a 3D printer with a giant coil of thread made out of human skin. But so apparently in this case, what they did to get the skin, man, even Sepsin is not drunk enough for this show, and that should tell you something, folks. That should absolutely give you an idea of how horrible and illogical things are. But that's fine. You know what? Let's embrace the bad and the good together. Yes, it'll be a tiny purple helmet on a little itty bitty crimson clad head that goes directly on your pee-pee. That's fine. Listen, you know what? I didn't say we would get all of these items. We're just discussing what items could be possible in the future. So let me tell you about the skin before we get there. Do you need to imagine it? I don't recommend it. In fact, I think you should avoid imagining it, but sometimes the power of suggestion is it's a pretty strong thing. So apparently what the researchers did is they scraped some skin cells, they threw the skin cells in a dish, they grew a fuckload of skin cells, and then they crammed the skin cells into the 3D printer, and then they printed out skin. Now, it's cool. It's really cool. To be fair, bioprinting is really interesting because think of all the things that could be used for, especially for somebody who needs skin grafts. I got a hair in my face and in my mouth. So if you need skin grafts, this is a great option, right? Because of course, right now, if you need a skin graft, where does the skin come from? Oh no, that's awful, Mariano. Where? Oh, there's so many levels up in chat. Oh no, don't put piles of skin in chat. This is my request for the night. I'm deleting that. No piles of skin in chat. I have one request, guys. It's so simple. Let's keep chat. I was going to say let's keep chat skin free, but that's not true because my show has the dubious history of having a titty flash and some other great stuff. So don't stop skin. Do stop skin that's not attached to a person. I don't know how it happens that often on live radio I have to make these distinctions live, but we fly by the seat of our pants here. And never let it be said that we're not thinking about all aspects, as horrible as they may be. Let's take this shot and let's get back on track. Holy shit. LP says we could print foreskin for everyone who's been circumcised. That would actually be a fabulous use of it, wouldn't it? That'd be fabulous. But, I feel like there's a lot that has to go along with that. But for right now, if you have to get a skin graft, where does the skin for a skin graft come from? It comes off your ass or it comes off a dead person. These are your options. I feel like both of these options aren't great. Maybe I'll take the skin whiteout tape dispenser. I don't know. We're spitballing here. The lamb is saying where I draw the line is maybe not enough of a line. And you know what? I'm going to agree with that. So some other bioprinted items, just to throw it out there for you. We already mentioned artificial bone. Do you guys remember that scene in The Fifth Element where they take one single tiny bone chip of 𝖊𝖆𝖆 and then they 3D print her entire body and her musculature and her skeletal structure from that? I don't know. I'm pretty sure if everybody had that 3D printer, we would have a lot more super hot 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖆s running around. I would definitely partake. And I said there was blood vessels. The last one that I know of in my very brief research for tonight's show, apparently we have 3D printed artificial bladders. How does that work? I don't really know. Julia. I love it because Julia has this isolated picture of my head that's really awkward. It's really, really round, like my head actually is. And it often shows up during a show. Hey, cutie girl. It's really round. My glasses are askew. I look kind of like a 12-year-old boy. It's rough. It's really rough. And I think as such, it should be the version of my face that gets shared everywhere. That's pretty much. Corbin, can you just get additional bladders? Yeah, apparently so. If you go to one of these Franken doctors who's playing God with a 3D printer, he'll just zip you up a new balloon and just in there. I'd say I'm sorry, but I'm not. Now you know. So to kind of bring this back around and to share with you guys where this has all come from, it's because I have a bunch of dumb desk tchotchkes now that I'm so fucking excited about. And they're all from Skyrim. So if you guys ever played Skyrim, maybe not quite as much as me, then you will know that these claws are keys that open doors. Do I need this? Will this open any doors in my home? No. Do I absolutely want all of these things that I pick up and hoard like a crazy person in Skyrim and display on shelves in my house because I spend more time cleaning and organizing my home in a video game than I ever have in real life? Yes, absolutely. So the more of these sort of fun, adorable, ridiculous items, I mean, I need a solid gold fucking dragon claw. Yeah, exactly. From 𝖕𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖆, from the very first quest of the game. You go and steal it from that dude. You put the cauldron on his head and take all the shit in his shop. Yeah, absolutely. Do I need this? No. Do I want all of them? Yes, absolutely. So this is kind of what got me started thinking about about 3D printing tonight. And so now we're saying, I mean, at this point, should you stop with video game memorabilia? No, you should probably 3D print some more chunks of yourself and just leave them around the house. I mean, LP's saying it's like a coffee table book. I was thinking more like, like a candy dish. Like, here are some ears. Do you need an ear? Here are some. I'll lend you mine. It's fine. It's weird, man. 3D printing body parts. I'm not sure. But this is where we're at. Forget about growing an ear on a mouse. We're now just printing them out of skin goop. Go fish. All right, so with that being said, this is a metal show every now and again, metal and rock and roll. And so tonight, what we are going to do is we are going to play a little bit of roulette instead of planning a playlist tonight, because I have a couple big ones coming up that I've spent way too much time putting together. And because last week was so much fun and a prepped playlist, tonight we're going to let it all hang out, whether it is your Fullforce panties or whatever else it may be. And I'm going to hit shuffle on the giant Fullforce radio playlist. And we're going to see what happens and we're going to see what we get. And it could be good and it could be bad. And I'm hoping we don't have to skip too many songs. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I want to play some loud music for you. Both adorable puppers are here. Here's Lulu. You guys never get to see Lou. Lou very rarely chooses to stay with me. But tonight, she's here. So, with that, we will, Murphy brought his girlfriend up. All right. So, goodbye to everybody who is leaving. Hello to everybody who is joining. And wish us luck for everybody who is trying to figure out what the fuck is happening right now. She is a cutie, I will say. She's a babe. She's getting really brave. You guys have been here and you've heard... very food motivated. She's very food motivated. But look at her tail. Will wag when food is around. It's pretty cool. I'm very excited. And she loves me when I have food. And you know what? Much like all of you, I am not above. Whether you're listening, watching, just hanging out, I'm not above bribing you. I want you to come here. I want to have you. I want to hold you. I want to feed you good music and good times. And to do that, I'm going to need to bribe you, and I'm fine with it. It's good. Hey, Justin, good to see you. So, with that, Murphy, come here. Thanks for following, my friend. We're going to play some random fucking metal. So, let's see what happens. We're going to press the button. We're going to see what we get. You guys can guess. If you can guess a song out of like almost 3,000 songs, if you guess it correctly, I'll buy you a concert ticket of your choosing. Because the odds of that are shitty. So we're going to do it. We're going to press the button. We're going to see what we get. And we will hope for the best, my friends. And we got a Monomarth. Let's do it. There you go. Yeah, got lucky. Now, I will say it is quite funny because 𝖍𝖊𝖆 and a couple of others were suggesting that if you know me well enough and if you've been to enough Full Force radios, and for some of you this is clearly your first time, and maybe some of you have just stopped coming because you're really sick of me. That's fine. But if you know me well enough, then you know there are some artists who have a fair bit of representation on the playlist. I'm not saying that I have some favorites, but gosh darn it, friends, I have a couple of favorites. So just before we move off this screen, you will see I've been doing some working on the overlay because we have about half and half people who just listen, who don't interact with chat. They're just here to kind of listen to some good music and whatever absolute nonsense will come out of my mouth. But there are lots of you who enjoy the whole visual experience as well. And however you like this live radio streaming extravaganza is just fine. You keep doing whatever works for you. But in the opportunity to continue to make the whole experience a little bit better, you will notice that over this way, one of these ways, over that away on the overlay, I have changed the backdrop to the music that's playing. So Spotify is starting to update more and more and more the ability to for artists to kind of add cool stuff. And one of the things that kind of kills me about that is if you check out on, say, something like the mobile version, they have this thing called Canvas, and songs now have a lot of really cool sort of background music that's playing at all times. And so one of the things that I kind of want to do is I want to get that up on the screen because there are these visualizations that go with it. Bands can upload short looping videos. Like that track is a killer. It's called Raven's Flight. It's off the newest 𝖊𝖆𝖆 album. I mean, we've got a lot of 𝖊𝖆𝖆 on the playlist, but if you watch it on the mobile version of Spotify, there's this really cool, like, fucking Odin smashing around and his eyes are glowing and there's snow and people dying and ravens flying around. It's what you would expect, let's be realistic. But that'd be really cool to have up on the overlay. So I've been working on combining some of the different visuals that are available across a bunch of different platforms and making it work and making it into more of the show here. So, you know, you guys have told me that you wish there were some changes to my overlay or that my Discord is boring or, you know, some people wish I would just talk more and play music less. I can't please all of you, but I do take all of your suggestions on board. One thing I really got to do is change my lighting back because I look hella orange. I'm an Oompa Loompa tonight. And if you're just listening, then imagine me bathed in a Cheeto-esque glow. But with that being said, so to start tonight, we were talking a little bit about 3D printed stuff and how much random 3D printed stuff is out there and how I am slowly filling my house with 3D printed tchotchkes, many of which are super, super nerdy. And a lot of them are gifts from people, which is super cool. So yes, I have my Skyrim claw, but did you know that my desk is covered in many other Skyrim items? And in fact, orange ma'am bad. Well, you don't know that I'm a ma'am because there's no real girls on the internet. I also have a statue of 𝖍𝖊𝖆. So for the non-nerds, Breeze, it's so good to see you, babe. I'm glad you're here. And I see more people are hopping in all over the place. Vim is heating up. So is YouTube. Twitch looks like there's nobody listening, but I don't think that's true. Some of these APIs aren't correct. But here's my statue of 𝖍𝖊𝖆, because if you're not a nerd and you don't play video games, that's fine. Just FYI. That's fine. You don't have to. But, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This is absolutely, oh no, amazing. I've got to figure out how to get everything to balance. But, yes, I am a saucy lady. And my statue of 𝖍𝖊𝖆 will make that very visible to all of you. So, you know, can I just fill this room with really nerdy things that people send me? Absolutely. I'm gonna make it. Yeah, look at Ron can print himself a girlfriend. Well, don't be too optimistic yet. I said we could print bits of skin. Not all the skin, just some of the skin, okay? I've now immediately lost her little son. That's so sad. It's in here somewhere. We'll find it later. But How very bold of me to display it. Yes, well, I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, we all know what it's gonna do. So if you aren't sure what the statue of 𝖍𝖊𝖆 is, let's just catch everybody up. 𝖍𝖊𝖆, she is the blessed lady. She's the goddess of beauty, love, and affection. Basically, if you want to boink somebody in a Skyrim game, 𝖍𝖊𝖆's your lady. She is the passion dancer. She's got a big old slit. She's got big old titties. You put one of these in your house and you're probably going to get laid. That's what video games have taught me. And I'll let you guys know how it goes. Goodness gracious me. So we can do some Skyrim related metal tonight, but if not, we can continue to play the Russian roulette version of Fullforce Radio. But what we were talking about before the break was, here are fun, dorky, nerdy things to display in your house that I have had 3D printed. But I have also been looking up random, strange items that you can 3D print and that are being 3D printed as technology evolves around the world. And we were talking a little bit about skin and body parts, because apparently that's a whole new thing. We're 3D printing bits of people. I don't judge. I don't know what you need them for, but it's possible now. Some of the other, hey, it's good to see you, Jason. It's been ages. Maybe I could lure all you guys back. You see, you wave one scantily clad statue and people come flooding in. Now I know what's up. But so some of the other things that people are 3D printing, and you probably won't be too surprised about this one, but apparently a lot of different food. Everyone is 3D printing food. Apparently, the deal is if you can extrude something in a soft form and then harden it up, it's perfect for 3D printing. Now, I never really thought about this a lot. I mean, I've seen some pretty wacky food items, and one of the things is often with Valentine's Day coming up, there are terrible combinations of food and people. You know, like those chocolates that look like your butthole, that's a thing. You know, all sorts of items that combine people and food in all the wrong ways. But 3D printing food is apparently really popular, which I didn't know. 3D printed chocolate seems pretty logical. That makes sense. You melt it, you extrude it, it hardens up, voila! You've got maybe a scantily clad lady statue of chocolate. That's fine. But there are some other items that have also been 3D printed. And one of them is cheese. And apparently not real cheese. Oh, alcohol. Sepson is going chocolate butthole. So is Corbin. Everybody's going, Nani? What? Okay. Well, this always comes up every year around Valentine's Day, and I'm very sorry to be the bearer of buttholes and bad news. But you can actually order chocolates that have been molded to the shape of someone's unique starfish. So, you know, that is one of those terms, one of those delightful euphemisms for your little puckered bum bum. But it's actually possible. You can take some molding medium, get one of those absolutely unique snowflake prints, and then this company will turn it into gourmet chocolates with that little kiss on the top that look like your bum. And you can send those chocolates to people. Why? Because humans honestly really shouldn't exist. We've run our course, we climbed our way up to the peak of civilization, and frankly, it's all downhill from here. Now that we're at the top, there's nowhere to go down. And I'm loving that this is a surprise to many of you. Delightful. Fullforce Radio is a public service. So, with that being said, many of the items, everybody in chat are just like, no. Well, I'm glad to know that many of you choose not to eat butt chocolate. I'm going to leave it at that. I feel like that statement does not need to be elaborated upon. So, you know, it's fine. Would it not be easier to just sit in the melted chocolate and get the full mold? You know, I don't really want to think about the logistics of it, given all of the things that just, there's a lot to unpack there, no pun intended, and I'm not going to try. But so apparently, outside of chocolate, the other thing that gets 3D printed a lot is easy cheese. Now, I'm a Canadian, so I don't 1,000% know what easy cheese is, but apparently this is one of those things that like, this is one of those things that people very much, that people very much love in the US. Now, some of you are from the US, many of you are from around the world. Easy cheese is apparently cheese in a can. I am not convinced it's actually cheese. Somebody maybe will jump in chat and, let me know. But it is essentially that like spray cheese that you often see. I've never seen it in the real world. I've only seen people make fun of it. Yeah, spray cheese. And so up here in Canada, this doesn't make sense to me. This is a thing that is horribly illogical and very, very confusing. And apparently it works beautifully in 3D printers. And so there are people out there who love this spray cheese and put it in 3D printers but it's not Cheese Whiz, kitty girl. It's not. It's something different. It's literally called easy cheese and it comes in a can that looks the same as faked whipped cream. I don't know. It's confusing and I'm very scared of it. And I don't know if this is just like poor relations between the US and Canada or whatever, but I'm just throwing it out there. So we don't do easy cheese up here. But apparently, chat is saying it's super gross and horribly awesome. So apparently, if you have a 3D printer, you can grab that and you can put it into your 3D printer and it will come out like hot cheese and then it will dry up, crust up, and you can 3D print your own whatever you're going to 3D print out of cheese. Why would you do this? I don't know. But I told you I was going to look up all the weird shit you can 3D print tonight, and easy cheese is at the top of the list. Other food items, apparently, that go along with this. People 3D print things like cereal. That makes sense to me. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. People have 3D printed candy. Okay, yeah, hot sugar, pipe it out. That makes sense to me, no problem. Croutons, quiches, and apparently there is a 3D printer that prints pizzas. Now, this one has my attention. Apparently, it's a 3D printer with multiple nozzles, and all of the nozzles print in tandem and will shit out a shaped pizza for you. And it just goes boop onto a pan, and you pop it into the oven, and you have a 3D printed pizza. That, to me, is how we should be using our technology. In my mind, that is the pinnacle. So if we were at the top of society and chocolate buttholes dropped us way down, then 3D printed pizzas in all shapes and sizes will take us back up. This is the route. This is the way. This is the way. Okay, so I'm kind of scared to go through the rest of my list of 3D printed items, but I do have at least one more 3D printed item from Skyrim to show you. Because, why? Because nerd. So the last thing, and this one I'm going to paint myself, I just have to figure out, is I definitely don't have an actual frost troll skull. It's amazing. Look at it. Why? Because Crimson Clad loves skulls. It's delightful. Look at it. Look at how absolutely amazing it is. These are the things that I pick up as I'm running around Skyrim. I bring them home because, of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Skyrim is an open world RPG. It's great, yada, yada, yada. But they know for a fact that the people who play Skyrim get addicted because they have re-released Skyrim at least 16 times, probably 14 more times before the next Elder Scrolls game comes out. But at some point, it went from dungeon crawling, hack and slash, killing dragons, shouting at people, shooting people with arrows, lighting things on fire, all the general sort of RPG stuff. And somewhere they recognize that a bunch of dorks like me play it. And they actually put in an entire section that's literally about building your house and putting cool stuff in your house. And somehow that translated for me over to the real world. Things that I would pick up and hoard in game and then use to decorate my fake Skyrim house have started appearing in my not Skyrim house, in my real house. And you know what? I'm not ashamed. So let's continue. How many mods do you run it with at minimum? Right now, when I play a regular game, I only run it with a couple of mods to make it look better. So enhance sky, enhance water, enhance foliage. That's the only thing I run in a regular game. My Skyrim VR game, I run with a bunch of mostly interface mods. And every now and again, we talk about things like the heavy metal mod that turns every bard in Skyrim into a screaming maniac. These things just go together. Okay, so we're going to play Full Force Roulette. We actually are going to play some music on this metal show. Believe it or not, with so many of you guys here, half of you probably don't want to listen to music, but tough titties, it's going to happen. So let's see what we can get. Let's see what happens when we push the button. We will hope for the absolute best and prepare for the absolute worst. What is it going to be? Blind Guardian, a track called Prophecies. The nerd is strong.
Judgment day seems like a sermon. Please come over, don't come over, please come over. Welcome the last day of our lives. Circle, walls are tearing down, and yet we break the silence, but there is no return, no return. We shall overcome. We will bring you back to a moment in time. We will reveal and detect
you go. Blind Guardian. Whoop! Hell yeah. Very, very good. All right, so listen up. We are playing Fullforce Roulette. Tonight's kind of a weird night. We've been talking about 3D printing and all of the ridiculous things. Am I 3D printing myself a skull-shaped house? If I could, I probably would. I would live in the skulls of my enemies. I refuse to believe that somebody has not made an entire house out of a skull yet. Can you imagine like an Earth ship, but it's like a giant skull just buried in the side of, I don't know, some hidden part of the forest? That'd be amazing. High five. But yes, I do actually have a lot of 3D printed skulls. There are skulls hiding all over the house. And in fact, actually, Viking Adventure isn't here tonight, but he sent me some really cool 3D printed skulls. Black 3D printed skulls. They're beautiful. They're all over my place too. So the long and the short of it is, tonight we have hit the big mix-up button and we are getting absolutely random items for tonight's playlist. This is partially scary, partially not. Because, of course, the Fullforce Radio playlist has been created over 175 episodes. I mean, this is something. This is, I think, quite a milestone. So it's cool to share it with all of you guys. And I see more and more people hopping in as the show goes on. And I'm so glad to have you. And I'm so excited for all the stuff that's going to happen this year. But with that being said, and Vim is bumping right now. Hey, dudes. Yeah, the Twitch API definitely doesn't look like it's connected, which is bummer. But what can you do? I have been doing this for 5 full years. And for many of you, you don't watch, you just listen. For many of you, you just listen, you don't watch. It is really silly. You do keep showing up. People have come, people have gone. You know, there are so many people, especially discovering through Theta TV now. It's so much fun. It's this new weird medium where you come to hang out. It's kind of like radio. It's kind of like live stream. It's wholly ridiculous and hopefully really fun for all of you. I'm excited for a lot of the stuff that's lined up this year, but 175 episodes, that is a minimum of 400 hours of Fullforce Radio. Think about that for a second. I have spent at least 400 hours of my life live on air playing heavy metal music and apparently talking about dumb shit like 3D printing skin. It is a metal show, and I am super proud of it. And I am hoping that the show will continue to grow and that you guys will continue to enjoy it, and that hopefully I can come back from some of the trials and tribulations of the last year and kind of really get things rolling again. But with that being said, tonight is kind of a milestone without being a milestone. We didn't plan for it. So, 175 episodes. We have a lot of really, really good music to choose from. And I'm not actually that scared about hitting the randomize button because, of course, for all of you, hooray! For all of you to be here, it's all good shit. It's all good shit. There are a couple songs in there that are jokes, but it's all good shit. So, there's probably some stuff we should talk about. Johnny Zazdula passed, so I think in the next couple weeks, I'm going to put together a show about that. Next week, I am planning a very special Valentine's Day episode. I was thinking about what would be romantic and what would get you guys in the mood. And now, metal doesn't always sound like it could do that, but there's a lot of weird, sexy, good metal. And then I was also thinking about romantic activities, and I chose one. And if you want to know what it is, you'll have to come next week. It's not what you expect. It's what I would think was romantic, and therefore probably isn't. But I don't care. It's my show. So if you can get through tonight's ridiculous roulette, then chances are we're going to have a good time together next week too. Okay, so we've been talking about, oh my goodness, ridiculous. What is happening? What is going on, my friends? What is happening? There's, oh look, lots of people watching live. And I'm upside down and I'm tiny. Let's try and fix that. There we go. Apparently, if you hit a button and turn off half of your overlay all at once, then everybody will see. But that's good. We've got like 15 people watching on other things. That's good to see. There's like 30 or 40 of you here. Good job, team. All right. So while I am managing to completely destroy my overlay and confuse all of you about sexy, sexy metal and strange, not sexy activities, of course, I was going to continue mentioning the last couple items of 3D printed weirdness that I discovered. But just kind of touch on that last song, that Blind Guardian song. We have, obviously there's a lot of Blind Guardian out of 175 episodes, but they have featured strongly in a couple really popular episodes. One was the science fiction episode. One was the Tolkien episode. We did the brutal realms of Tolkien. Blind Guardian writes a lot about fantasy, especially. And so that prophecy song actually is off of one of their concept albums called Beyond the Red Mirror, which is their own original story that they were telling. But Blind Guardian has a bunch of songs, yes, about Tolkien. They showed up on the video game playlist. They've got songs written about the Sword of Truth, which is another book series, a fantasy book series. And also, what else on this giant, Dune. Bunch of nerds up in Blind Guardian. Great fantasy stuff. So they've featured in a bunch of playlists. And I'm going to try and remember where all of the places these songs have come from, if I can. But 175 episodes is a lot of episodes, so what can I say? Now, let's go back to the 3D printed discussion, because I've now shown you all of my new 3D printed tchotchkes, all related to Skyrim. I will say, one of the weirdest things that can be created is unborn babies. Now, we've already talked about printing skin. It's not like you're thinking it is. But apparently there are companies now that are starting to come out and actually take ultrasound information. So, you know, when you get an ultrasound and they get that really squished up, creepy, like flat 2D, 3D version of a baby's face. Like, you know, when somebody shows you an ultrasound and they're like, look at my precious angel. And you're like, bleh! You know that? Is that just me? It might just be me. But so, yeah, no, don't panic. We're not talking about actually printing like tiny goopy fetuses, I promise. But there are companies now which specialize, if you get an ultrasound, they can take that 3D data that they get from the ultrasound machine and then actually 3D print it. So now, not only will you be able to show all the people you know that weird, creepy, squishy black and white ultrasound photo of like the weird misshapen clay golem growing inside you, you can 3D print a version of that as well. So you can hold it in your hands and it can be twice as terrifying. This to me, as someone who doesn't have children and won't have children, I'm not. That's just not on the cards for me. I'm not going to be having kids. Ultrasounds in general creep me out a little bit. I don't know about you guys. I get it. You are growing a human being with love. I totally understand. But for everybody whose baby it isn't, ultrasounds are weird and disgusting. Is that just me? I don't know. You guys will have to weigh in and chat. Ultrasounds to me kind of look like if you made a very realistic baby out of Play-Doh and then you took it and you just sat on it by accident before you took a picture of it, but you're like, oh, nobody will notice, it's fine. We notice, it's not fine. That's what ultrasounds look like to me. And, you know, I always get that people are so excited to show you, you know, an ultrasound of their up and coming bundle of joy. And it is, don't get me wrong, it's delightful. But I find them terrifying and odd. And in general, when you look at them, you're like, that's not what the baby's going to look like when it comes out. It's got to bake a bit more, you know? Somebody's got to really get in there and sharpen up those features. A little Vaseline on the lens. So apparently, you can now take that and a 3D printer will take that information, and as you are having an ultrasound, you can then 3D print a version of your little smushy bundle of joy to be. Why would you want this? I don't know. What would you use it for? Not entirely sure. Paperweight? Do you want like a weird smushed up fetus sitting on your desk? I mean, I feel like if we really thought this through, we would understand that maybe we could just take a pass on this one. Maybe we just don't do that. Just my thoughts. But I did promise that I would tell you about all the horrific things that I found while researching 3D printing, and here we are. Just something else to dust. Yeah, good point. Good point. Will I ever regret dusting this? Never. Hi, good to see you. Oh, Marco, we've missed you. I've missed you. I hope you're doing well. I hope I didn't scare you away with too much screamy music. P.S. There'll be more tonight. So, yes, it's Full Force Radio. It's episode 175. And tonight, the plan was not going to plan anything. And we are doing the ever fun Full Force Radio Roulette. Now, I try not to do this very often, but I'm just hitting the randomize button on my giant Full Force Radio playlist, and we are having a lot of fun. And then I was also sharing with you all of my exciting new 3D printed tchotchkes, and we got on the topic of weird 3D printed items, and we've had skin and we've had cheese, and now we are down to like weird sculptures of unborn fetuses. And I have to admit, Fritro, you are spot on. Can you imagine sending your child to school with a sculpture of themselves? What? No, absolutely not. Pass. Hard pass. Yeah. And I mean, like, I always kind of wonder, and this happens very often, not just on this show, but beyond. It's a thought exercise that comes to me often, and perhaps you guys do it too, but have you ever, whether it's to do with this show or anything else, have you ever stopped in your daily life and thought, if I were to be buried right here, right now, with all these things around me, in this position that I'm in, what would an archaeologist think? So, I'm curious to know, have you guys ever thought about this? Maybe this is a Crimson Clad thought, but I have this thought often, especially when I catch myself doing something ridiculous, which is more often than you think. I will often stop and think, what if, honestly, right now, I was buried, holding this claw with a camera pointed at me. Archaeologists, 1,000 years in the future, what would they think? They would probably wonder. I mean, I'm sure they'd think I was some sort of deity, right? Obviously, you're all worshiping at the altar of 3D printed fetuses. And I often wonder what my stupidity would have somebody whose whole job is to extrapolate intelligently. What would they think? I don't know. Now imagine if you had weird things like 3D printed fetuses in your house. What would they think? I feel like this is an important question that we need to ask ourselves. Maybe this is the new version of Marie Kondo. Do you guys remember her? She was a splash in the pan, or whatever you call it. She just flashed in the pan. She came and she gone. She's not a thing anymore. But she was the one who was like, pick up all the things in your house, and if it brings you joy, keep it, and if it doesn't, huck it out. Great, no problem. Well, forget her. My version is pick up all the things in your house and think about, 1,000 years, if I'm buried next to this item, am I going to be really embarrassed? Maybe. If you're 3D printing questionable items, these are things you're going to have to ask, because I'm pretty sure a lot of this stuff is not biodegradable. I'm just saying. Darcigos is buried in what? Listen, sir, I don't care. I'm picturing you out on like the plains of Alberta. There's a lot of dust. It's Grant. He's got his hat on. He's scraping away at, the edges of your crusty computer table with a raptor claw. It's suspend your disbelief here, okay? I'm just saying, if an archaeologist found you, how bad would it be? The primates enjoyed stimulation. The subject was surrounded by Diet Red Bulls, 5-hour energies, and 2 cigars while listening to loud music. Exactly. So confusing. So confusing. I have to wonder, why only 2 cigars? Only 2. Symbolic number, I'm sure. Okay. So, I am going to play a little bit more music. We're actually halfway through the show. Ron hasn't been listening at all, but he has brought us a treasure. Pepper-crusted pork mousseline and aspic pureed mustard seed. Delightful. That is right up there with archaeologists trying to interpret weird things in your life. That is, hey, good to see you, CJ5 Crawler. That's right up there with archaeologists pretending to be intelligent. What if you found random foods around your house and you tried to describe them like a chef connoisseur? Oh, I don't care, Ron. I'm glad you're here. My goal is to have people who love and listen to the show again. We'll get there. But yeah, I always love stuff like this. pepper crusted pork mousseline. If everybody described hot dogs as pork mousseline, I feel like we'd eat more hot dogs. You know what else would probably show up after you were unburied by all of the archaeologists? Hot dogs. They'd probably still be around. All right, let's do it. So I happened to see, because I was a little slow, I did happen to see what the next track was, and this is a gooder too. So this is a band that has a long and storied history, and I'm trying to remember like when they were created, but I don't fucking know. Carcass, right? I've shared quite a bit of Carcass with you over the years, and of course the new album Torn Arteries is excellent. It was one of my favorites from 2021. But Carcass has become sort of de facto face of death metal over the years. It is an incredible discography that they have and an incredible career that they have spanned. And while they're not for everybody, you know, thrash-tinged death metal it's one of those things that I don't think anybody can really deny the appeal of. And so if you kind of go back through their discography, I mean, Torn Arteries is the newest, but if you go way back, you're going to find albums going to probably almost the year that I was born, at least 1988, 1989. And they were one of those bands that really kind of jumped in on metal imagery and metal names. And if you go back, like, they were one of those bands that I was absolutely intimidated by as a kid. You know, on this show, we often talk about our metal journeys, and we talk about my metal journey and sort of how I kind of dipped my toe in stages. So for many of you, you know, you're still there. This show is your dipping your toe in, dipping your toe into a pool of easy cheese, easy cheese with the skin on top. But so when I was finding my way into metal, you know, I've told you guys about it many a time on this show. Epic, symphonic, melodic, you know, that sort of aspect, the Nightwishes, the Edguys, the Camelots, and classic new wave of British heavy metal. Your Iron Maidens, your Motorheads, you know, stuff from across the pond, Venom even. These were the bands that got me into metal, and they were safe in a lot of ways. Carcass was one of those bands that decided, hey, we see your slightly spooky metal, and we're gonna crank that shit up to 11. And if you go back to early Carcass albums, you're gonna find songs like Pungent Excruciation, Feast on Dismembered Carnage, Genital Grinder, Regurgitation of Giblets. Those are all Carcass songs. I'm not making this up. These are not Carbonized Eye Sockets. Legitimately a Carcass song. This was Crawler. I love metal. Go Nickelback. Sir. Control yourself, sir. So yeah, you know, lovely imagery, but this was one of those bands that just, they took it and they ran it. Vomited Anal Tract. And so for people who are like, oh no, don't worry. The song that came up is a track called Black Star, and it actually really highlights all of the things that Carcass does well that sometimes for a lot of people, they're a little intimidating. And I did, from this new album, Torn Arteries, I've played a couple songs off it, and you guys all really liked it. But if you are just to go through names of songs like Fermenting Innards or the Granulating Dark Satanic Mills. There's some I'm glad I got you to follow with something like a intensive battery brooding. So the reality is you know, Carcass, they have an aura about them, but under all of that shock imagery and ridiculous, truly metal kind of, you know, whatever, incredible musicians. So the song that came up on Fullforce Roulette for you guys is a track called Black Star. And this actually was an incredibly popular track because it kind of showcased a little bit away from You like that I laughed at Nickelback? Well, here's the thing. I'm Canadian, and I'm actually from Vancouver. We laugh at Nickelback a lot here. So, I'm going to play this track. It is a gooder, and for those of you who are like, all of the things that Crim said are scary, this track is safe. You're going to have a lot of fun. It is an awesome Carcass track. You guys can now say that you've listened to and enjoyed Carcass. So if you ever need some fucking hardcore street cred, this is it. My name is 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖆 This is Full Force Radio. We are playing Full Force Roulette. We're going to have a lot of fun. We still got some music and hopefully not too much weird 3D printed stuff. Skin and fetuses and easy cheese. So much pizza. All right. So, hey, Full Force Radio. My name is 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖆 Tonight's ridiculous, and I'm shocked so many of you are sticking around, and I'm very pleased that so many of you are sticking around. And in fact, so many of you come back, which is so cool, because a lot of you, listen, I know that you're busy, and I've been busy too. And, Full Force Radio for a little while over the holidays kind of fell by the wayside, which was really sad. And the last couple shows have been so much fun and have been so good. And it's just like, how do I lure you back to me? And the answer is with good metal and a whole lot of fun. So, rocking the 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖆 shirt tonight because, of course, I had no idea what artists were going to be on the playlist. Normally, whatever shirt I'm wearing is a great hint to what we're going to do for the night. But pimping the self merch tonight. So dogs are here. Pizza is good. We are letting the Fullforce roulette fly, and we've been having a whole lot of fun getting some good music. I know. And you know what? It's okay because I can see them on... I can see the trve emotes on my chat panel, which is awesome. And I can see the theta emotes on my chat panel, but unfortunately they don't show up on the overlay, and that's okay. Have at her. You can emoji till the cows come home. Now, one of the things that I know we have to get going, yes, pizza lured you all in, and my sparkling wit and personality, of course. So yeah, you know, there's definitely some stuff that I got to get going. Corbin's in here screaming, "Twinkle, twinkle!" Yeah, of course, absolutely. Never let it be said. I told you, baby's first carcass. I promised you that, and you got it, you bastards. So we've been talking a little bit about random 3D printed stuff because I've been showing off all of my delightful 3D printed tchotchkes, Skyrim related. I feel like we should probably stream some Skyrim at some point. But so we got into that, and I've been sharing strange 3D printed things with you, and after all of the items that we've talked about, all of the strange things, I will leave you with the last one, which is actually really cool. And probably is something that we'll end up talking about on Cyberbuzz someday. But one of the really cool things that exists now is, you know, we were talking about, hey, a 3D printer has a medium, like a filament that is, you know, I was going to make it very rude. It's got a nozzle and the filament goes in the nozzle and it gets heated up in the nozzle and then it gets extruded. That's how 3D printers work, and then it hardens up again. And we were talking about cheese and skin and all sorts of weird shit. But there is another version of 3D printer that's really fucking cool and is really spacey. Yes, you are seeing doggos in the background for sure. And actually both of them are just laying on the couch sadly now because I fed them during that last song. But while the songs aren't on, they don't get fed. And so they just sit here. Look at Murphy. Look at my sad sack dog. Look at how sad he looks. Miserable Murphy. Are you sad? Yes. But so one of the last kind of cool, super space age ways of 3D printing is really interesting. And it is actually the opposite of sort of extruding a medium. It is where you have a tank of goop, a tank of light reactive or UV reactive goop, and a laser. You use a laser to beam down and actually harden that goop on the fly in a 3D space. So it's not quite printing in terms of extrusion. There are some people who are like still totally all over the carcass in chat. Fabulous. But so you actually have a beam of light, a laser, if you will, and you actually sculpt a solid figure within a liquid. It's cool and totally weird. And this is really fascinating to me. So this is kind of a new tech that allows them to create gummy things and bendy things. And you actually don't get that sort of stepped effect that is common with traditionally 3D printed items. So if you look at this guy, for example, you can actually see these really tiny thin layers where the material's been built up enough to create detail. But in this case, it's actually just goo. You shoot a laser into a tank of goo and then you get something practical out of it. I don't know. Technology is cool, man. Science is neat. We're living in the future. So we got about a half an hour left in the show. That's not a whole lot of time. And I want to play you guys some more music. Now, once again, I sucked at stopping the roulette, so we do know what track is going to be next. This is a band called Striker, and they are Canadian. And obviously, I'm a big fan. I'm definitely... Oh, yeah, okay, bye. Please come back anytime. So I'm a big fan of Striker, and I often play their music on this show because who doesn't love a little bit of Canadian content? But they're out of Edmonton, and so for the other Canadians in here, these are hometown boys for you guys. Oh, I'm not going to ignore your level up. I'm getting on, going on, having the thing. Did he actually level up? He did. Son of a biscuit. Sorry. Thank you. I wasn't ignoring it. You bastards. Nobody wants to be here unless I'm sloppy drunk, and I understand it. Hey, Stace, good to see you. Yeah, everybody in chat, fires a laser! Okay. So, Ron, you're not paying attention, so don't pretend you are. Okay, so now that we've done that, for Corbin, along with the shot, I'm going to play some Striker. Hometown Boys for many of you. And this is this is perfect for tonight because, of course, as a Canadian, everyone is asking me my opinion on the truckers because, of course, as you know, everyone in Canada knows everyone else. There's only like 10 of us tops. And so, you know, for those of you who are here for Cyberbuzz on Saturday, everybody was asking me what I think. And the answer remains the same. I am very happy that I live in a country where this type of thing is still possible, and I don't want it to change. So regardless of whether you personally do or don't agree with the truckers, that's A-okay. But I agree with the fact that the truckers can and should be able to do this kind of thing. And I'm happy that I live in a country where, well, forget about Trudeau for the minute, but where people can and do have the freedom to assemble, where people can protest. And, you know, we forget, but, you know, all these people who are in Ottawa right now who are like, these protests are the worst, the honking, I can't sleep, oh no. Think about what a statement that is, about what an amazing country Canada is, that the worst thing you can think of right now and the closest thing to fascism you've experienced are a bunch of people playing hockey in the streets, singing songs and waving flags outside of Parliament, and honking in their trucks. That's the worst thing that you've ever experienced. What a statement that is about this country. We have a lot of shit that's wrong with us. A lot. Man, we've got some stuff to fix. But at the same time, I still love living here. So, Ron, Untitled Goose Game is so fun. So, regardless, I don't begrudge you whether you support them or not. No big deal. We all here are living our best lives. Feel free, honk them if you got them. But the track I'm going to play for you is a little apropos because Striker is a Canadian band. They play sort of fun, speed, thrash metal. It's very retro sounding. It's great. They sound like something that should have come out of sort of the Bay Area in the 80s, but they're not. They're right now making music out of Edmonton, Alberta. And I'm going to play you a track off their self-titled album. It's one of my favorites. It's called Freedom Call. No, it's not Striker with a Y. It's Striker with an I. So not the old Striker, the new Striker, the Canadian Striker. I don't know, man. But here you go. The track is called Freedom's Call. If that's not apropos right now, I don't know what is. My name is Crim Sinclair. This is Full Force Radio, and we are playing Full Force Roulette. So everything you're getting is a crapshoot. But how fun is that? you go. Look at this pretty girl. Look at Lulu. Look at her tail wagging. Murphy's obviously fantastic. He's always been fantastic. But for those of you who have been with me on this journey, whether it's the metal journey or whatever else, you guys might remember that Lulu is my desert dog from Iran. And when I got her, she was terrified. She was scared of absolutely everything. And she has learned so much. She's come such a long way. She's this beautiful girl. She still gets scared sometimes. She's still learning, but what a difference it's been. And it has been a long journey, a lot of love, a lot of patience, and still a lot of fuckery, to be quite honest. A lot of bad days, but so many good now too, which is awesome. So it's really cool that you guys kind of get to see her being a real functioning dog, a real person. All right, so there you go. My last track was Striker, and they've come up on a number of playlists because, of course, I always try to get my Canadian content in. I always want you guys to hear Canadian bands, and honestly, Canadian bands, there are a couple of subgenres that Canadian bands do really well. One is thrash and speed metal, A++. One is technical death metal. Man, do Canadian bands like Archspire and, good Canadian death metal and technical death metal. But those guys I've often played on sort of throwback retro nights because they have that awesome sort of Bay Area retro speed metal sound. It's quite funny because if you could see them live, if you're in Canada, you get a good chance, hopefully, to see them live. I've seen them play live a couple times here in Vancouver, and it's quite funny because, of course, Vancouver and Alberta are side by side, and so their fans, their die-hard fans... Canada have bands. I thought we only produced hockey players. Yeah, that too. I mean, to be fair, we produce the hockey players, and then you guys steal them. The U.S. steals them. I'm going full on Pebbles. Yeah, I need a Bam Bam. But yeah, no, I've actually just rocking the side pony just now. I just changed it. The dogs are here. The pizza is good. We have many weird and fun songs tonight. We've been talking about strange 3D printed items. I've been showing off my random Christmas tchotchkes, my Skyrim stuff, and we've been having a lot of fun. So that Freedom's Call track, it is a perfect fit for right now where, wherever you may stand, I think all of us are hoping that we can safely and happily open up again. I mean, man, the long-term damage that will come from some of the policies that were put in place is pretty unthinkable. But regardless, there's too many people who just can't seem to agree. No one wants to hear the words that other people say. The whole system is just rotten to the core. Those like you and me are always left wanting more. I don't want to feel like a prisoner lost in time. There is no second chance, and when you get up there, it's a long way down. I'm hearing freedom's call. I just want to be free. Free as an open sky. Free from the secrets and lies. So that is a great track, and because BC and Alberta are so close together, one of the most... that bug is back! If you're here for enough shows, there is this bug. Maybe it's a whole family of bugs. He keeps getting in through my window. There's a tree outside my window, and this bug gets into my house. And every couple of shows that I'm here live on air, he just turns up. Here he is again. I don't know what to do. And then I'll look away and he'll disappear. And that's one of the most disconcerting things ever is when you can see a bug and then you look away for a second and the bug is gone and you're like, fuck. It's kind of like when you're laying in bed at night and you can see a spider and then you look away and the spider's gone. Fuck. Especially because statistics are, don't you swallow something, just an absurd amount of spiders a year. You eat like 12 spiders a year in your sleep. Fun facts on tonight's Fullforce Radio. Like I said, public service across the board, my babes. But so one of the funniest things about seeing Striker, that last band live, is because I'm here in BC, they often bring all of their bus bunnies with them. And so when they play live in Vancouver, they have all of their beautiful slutty women who follow their tour bus over here because it's not that far. It's not that much of a commitment. And so every time that I've seen Striker live, the audience is full of bleach blonde, bespandexed, only wearing bras, busty, 1980s Tawny Katane, like wiping off the hood of the Lambo with their bare ass cheeks kind of girls. It's awesome. These guys seem to be pussy magnets. And at least for the short haul, they have a bunch of really beautiful women who follow them around on tour. It's delightful. I'll tell you what. Oh, goodness. Yeah. And that sounds about right. That's Trudeau's dad saying that. Canada is a country whose main exports are hockey players and cold fronts. Our main imports are baseball players and acid rain. Not 1,000% accurate, but also not untrue. All right. So let's continue on because we don't have that much time left and we do want to get some more music in, or I want to get some more, I want to get some more music in, and we got to see what else comes up when we, when we plus the magical button. So I will say, I'm hoping we have time for like 2 more songs. At least. Hey, oh my goodness. I haven't seen Jon Snow in ages. You know nothing, but I'm happy to have you here. So yeah, we're not quite moving to a 3-hour show yet. I know I promised I would in the new year, but this last couple weeks, there have been so much going on with Hive. I've been doing a lot of public speaking and public appearances. My shit's not quite together enough for a 3-hour show. Now, that being said, all of you that are here, if I go back to a 3-hour show, will you come? Will you enjoy it? Will it be enough entertainment? Can I put enough metal in your ears to hold on to you for an entire another hour? You got to think about these things. Think about it. Let me know. All right, so we got to get at least 2 more songs in. I want to hit the button. I want to push the button. I want to pull the lever and see what we get. Because, of course, tonight we are playing Fullforce Roulette. It's completely at random. I have no idea. So far, the playlist has been solid. All right. We'll see. We'll see, I said. Okay, so we're going to press the button. We're going to see what we get. I'm hoping, praying. You guys ready? Let's do the thing. Rotting Christ, one of my favorite Greek bands of all time. Demonandrosis. Get your heavy drums out and let's do it! Ha!
the voices of the choir. And hear the illusions of the veil of my brain. And for control, and for the power. And yeah, my makes the brain. Love is rain. Love is rain. And free the poison in my vein. So rain the mind. So show the light. Ripping the world and pain. Of hospital. On your brain. On your brain. I am dying. And now I'm mine.
have a mad love for Rotting Christ. So, you know, Rotting Christ has come up on the show a lot. And for many of you guys, we always mention it. We always talk about the same thing. It's a little intimidating. That's a hell of a name. So for those of you who are like, oh no, I listened to Carcass tonight and Putrefying Guts and yada, yada, yada. Rotting Christ is another one you can add to the list. It's a really intimidating name. Demonombrosis by Rotting Christ. Ah, I'm going to eat the skin off your 3D printed fetus. You know, like, it's intense. But Rotting Christ has come up on a lot of playlists because, A, they are a fabulous Greek band, and there's not enough Greek bands that are in your consumption. Round Bear! Oh my goodness! It's almost... See, this is another reason I'll have to start making my shows longer, because you always show up towards the end. And how are things over there on the upside down part of the Asian world for you? But... with that being said, you know, there are some incredible, incredible Greek bands out there. And another one of my favorites, I am hoping really, really soon we're going to get to do the deep dive. One of my favorite Greek bands ever is medieval metal. Yes, indeed. And I've shared... I've shared some songs by them. It's a band called 𝖭𝑠𝖊𝖆. And so I'm really hoping that in the coming next couple of episodes, as soon as the box set arrives, I'll be able to do a 6 Degrees of Mutilation on a band called 𝖭𝑠𝖊𝖆. I'm really excited to kind of deep dive into that. It's underground 80s thrash metal. It was, if you took sort of the precursors to Metallica and Megadeth, and actually all of the 𝖍𝖊𝖆 bands, if you could take the precursors to those and plonk them down in Greece and have them writing the most ridiculous music about, you know, like dark knights wielding fucking spiked flails, riding a horse through misty woods, but they looked ridiculous. I mean, their bassist, he like rides like a fake tank, and just... long and the short of it is, I do want to share that with you. So Rotting Christ is a really well-known Greek band, and their name is a pushback against the monotheism that was brought into Europe. Obviously, a lot of Europe was pagan and heathen culture, and of course it got pushed out forcibly by Christianity and monotheism. So Rotting Christ isn't exactly like... It's not pro-religion, shall we say, but it certainly is sort of a pushback against the idea of enforced monotheism. So with that being said, they've come up in many a playlist, especially where we've kind of been dissecting the roots of folk metal and pagan metal. And when we've talked a little bit about the fact that Satan doesn't really exist except as a foil to Christianity. And so can we get really torqued out about Satan unless we kind of look critically at, God? And the reality is it doesn't matter. It's all good fun. All right, so things are as fucked up as America or worse. Ah, man, that sucks. I'm sorry. But at least while you come here, hopefully you can have some fun. Pig, it's good to see you. We've been playing some fun metal tonight. You're just here before the end of the show, so there's not going to be too much. But I'm hoping I'll find something for you because, of course, we are hitting the big shuffle button on Full Force Radio. So here's the deal, guys. I will make this deal with you. As we move into the coming weeks, let's take a look at the calendar. Next week's show will be a Valentine's Day special. It'll be metal music to get you going, as well as a romantic activity that I'm not going to share with you until next week. So next week will be a fun Valentine's Day show, but the week after that is the 17th. Let's say for the last Full Force radio show of February, for Full Force finale February, we will move to 3-hour shows. The 24th. Mark your calendar. Hold it against me. We will go back to 3-hour shows on the 24th if you guys will show up for 3 hours. Okay? Done. Promised. Now I just got to get the merch store online and then you guys will leave me the fuck alone. Okay, so with that being said, we have got to hope and pray that the roulette gods will be kind to us. I will remind you, Ron, that the roulette gods will be kind to us because we need one amazing last track for the end of the show. Now, if you are listening on the Discord or if you're listening through the radio, please remember we probably are going to go over time and it's going to get cut off. So if you are one of the fabulous many, many people who are watching on YouTube or Twitch or Theta or Trovo or Vim, you have absolutely no problems. But for those of you listening to the radio, just remember we might get cut off. So we're going to do it. We're going to press the button. We have talked about all of the weird shit that you can 3D print. I have showed you all of my useless tchotchkes that I'm madly in love with. I mean, this is like the nerd's dinglehopper. Look at this. I'm just going to I'm going to comb my hair with this. It's nerd chic. So we're going to do this. We're going to hit the last roulette button. No empty chamber. There's definitely going to be around here. What is it going to be? That is the true question. We're hoping for the best, guys. We're going to press the last song of the night on Full Force Roulette. Black Sabbath, Children of the Sea. This is arguably one of the best Black Sabbath songs of all time. Holy fucking shit!
In the misty morning, on the edge of time, we've lost the rising sun, a final sign. As the misty morning rolls away to die, reaching for the star, we blind the sky.
Yes. Yes. All right. So, with that, we are ending on 𝖍𝖆. I mean, Christ, it couldn't have worked out better. It couldn't have worked out better if I tried. So for those of you who are sticking around for the very last little bits of the show, yeah, that is a really, really, in my eyes, it's one of the absolute best songs by Sabbath. Now, of course, Sabbath is so well known for essentially kind of starting heavy metal, and a lot of the early tracks had that funeral doom, slow, psychedelic sludge kind of feel. And I mean, arguably, that is realistically with Blue Oyster Cult and Led Zeppelin and a bunch of these bands, Deep Purple, and, you know, there was this stirring of what heavy metal was about to become. But that being said, that is one of those tracks out of Black Sabbath's discography that doesn't always get a lot of attention. And it's quite interesting because I obviously spend a lot of time interpreting, making up my own words, apparently, but interpreting song lyrics. And so, you know, 𝖍𝖆 was a very fantasy-minded person, and he had a really interesting grasp on sort of the high fantasy aspects, Lord of the Rings and things like that, a mention of Nevermore in there. If you actually, the Misty Mountain and Nevermore, of course, if you're a Led Zeppelin fan, then you know that's another Tolkien reference that pops up across a number of bands. But the Children of the Sea, you know, when I first listened to it, I thought, oh, this is about Atlantis. This is about the fall of a superior race who were living peacefully and happily. And, you know, the sun was blotted out of the sky and the seas rose and they were, you know, they were swept away and disappeared. That's always how I interpreted it. But of course, 𝖍𝖆 also was very interested in mysticism and religious studies and things like that. And so there's, of course, as 𝖍𝖆 was the first to throw up the horns to Satan, yes, interpreting. So, you know, there's been other people who theorize that the track was about the Great Flood and biblical stories and things like that. But, you know, honestly, I've actually never personally go fish. Normally I do a lot of research, but tonight was on the fly, of course, so I didn't know that would be there. I've never actually looked to see if 𝖍𝖆 made a comment on this and what interpretation is correct. But I think, you know, given we're talking about how Striker and Freedom Call was very apropos for the world that we're living in, certainly that track, Children of the Sea, boy, it's more relevant than ever. A society that thinks they have everything under control, that are living with not a whole lot of care or attention going towards their environment, who simply cease to exist on the last sunrise, swept away by the depths of the ocean. Maybe a little more relevant than we want it to think, you know? We were out playing in the fields and the woods in the shadows of the mountain, and the sun rises on the last day of our civilization. So, not to end us on a bad note, but fuck, I love 𝖍𝖆. All right. So Fullforce Roulette was a success. This was episode 175, 175 full episodes of Full Force. And that's what I've been keeping track of. Let's be realistic. There's actually been more of that. A minimum of 400 hours, maybe more. Like 3,000 songs an entire day. Yeah, it is a little depressing. It is. But I mean, again, we've talked about how science fiction and fantasy are the vehicles with which we explore our deepest fears, our greatest desires, and our deepest fears. We need storytelling to help us understand. We don't always know what we're scared of until we really... Shut up, Corbin. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't 1,000% prepared because I can't give you peer-reviewed data. Empirically peer-reviewed statistical data on what 𝖍𝖆 thought about that song, and as such, I was not prepared. But with all that being said, it's a great track. It's a perfect place to end the show, and Look at my little poopers. Episode 175. Lulu got comfortable finally. So, with that being said, we've made a promise for future 3-hour shows, moving back to the long shows on February 24th. Next week, come back because I would love to love on you. I am going to have a playlist that'll get you in the mood, and we'll talk about romantic activities. But by romantic activities, I mean things that I think are romantic. So, don't get your hopes up. I will do some work getting last week's show up. Of course, I let you guys know last week's show was one of the most banging playlists of all time. Everybody was stoked. You can find it over on Spotify. If you want to follow me on Spotify, go to fullforce.rocks. You can get there. You can get the playlist now. But the whole episode and the pretzeling of the panties and the absolute absurdity, YouTube took it down. You can still find it on 𝖕𝖆𝖆. You can find the replay on Twitch, but both of those do go down after time, which is one of the reasons that we still do rely on YouTube a little bit. Gonna be looking into Odyssey, and I actually have created a show note post. So as soon as I can finish editing that video and re-upload it, hopefully YouTube won't immediately give me a strike again. But who knows? It's good fun. Romantic death metal. Marco, you know me far too well, sir. There is a lot of sexy metal music, except it's like weirdly uncomfortably sexy. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a return of Lordy's Hug You Hardcore. If you don't know what that one is, don't look it up. It'll be a great surprise next week. With that, I am gone. I will see you guys later. I hope you had a lot of fun. If you need anything, go to mspwaves.com or fullforce.com. And hopefully these